We are live. Wow. On Proline TV as we talk NASCAR once again this week. First time. And that means we'll be talking NASCAR at least two more times. I will on Saturday. Kevin Rogers will at some point on Friday or Saturday with his picks report. And this is it for CJ Radoon from RotoWire.com. We'll also talk some F1 a little bit later on in the program. So stay tuned for that as they are racing in Hungary this week. All right. So CJ, how's it going?
Going all right. Another week, another regular season race down. We're approaching the playoffs, so we're almost there.
Yes. Only three more to go after this one. And then we get to Daytona. So we've got Iowa, Watkins Glen, Richmond, probably three snooze fest races. And then we'll have a lot of excitement, including the playoffs on the horizon. So yeah, looking forward to it. I wish we had more exciting races this time of year because once football season starts, you kind of get distracted. So this is really where you'd prefer to have more of the exciting races. But whatever, it is what it is. I mean, I can imagine, when the Illinois races and the Roval is going on during football season, man, I got to imagine their ratings are not really good those weeks. So
no, a couple of snooze fests coming up in the playoffs, unfortunately, too. Hopefully NASCAR will eventually change the schedule around and leverage this new car with the tracks that it's actually good at for a change.
Yes, like Homestead as the championship race next year. Do we get that San Diego road course next year?
Yeah, Chicago is done after this year. They just announced they will be going to San Diego as a street course around the naval base there, if I'm not
mistaken. That looks cool.
It does look cool. I'm glad that they are rotating the street course races. It's a city center event, so it should be a good spot for NASCAR. Probably a lot of fans there, given the military connection, and then also Southern California, which we haven't had a race in for quite a long time. So
yeah, that makes sense. And I know the plan is only to be there for a little bit, but hey, who knows? If it goes well. And what I mean by going well in a road course is Shane Van Gisbergen not winning, and it being a fun race, of course. Then why not go back there and just stay there and just say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't it's because they still haven't done this yet. We were happy that they listened to us regarding Homestead, but we're still waiting for them to make the same decision with Charlotte. I don't know what they're waiting for. It's a no-brainer. I mean, come on. I mean, maybe they need to see a really bad race at the Roval this year or something, just to, that's going to be where I'll be a big time Shane Van Gisbergen fan. Win by 20 seconds and lead every lap so they can get the hell out of the Roval, please. That's what. But hey, next week, I'm telling you, I said this a few weeks ago, and I'm not. If Shane Van Gisbergen is not minus 150 next week, if he's anything better than that, I'm picking him and I'm betting him next week. I'm now in a position with Shane Van Gisbergen on road courses where I'm just going to go for it. And if I lose, I lose.
Well, I believe you have the first pick next week, so that will be your decision to make. But if you look
already made.
If you look
then again, I got to look at it. It can't be minus 150 or minus 200. I'm not
no, it's not going to be. It's not going to be McLaren odds for Formula One. But I mean, last year he had the race win in his hand. Chris Buescher kind of chased him down. He ended up making a mistake, and I think there were some kind of tire issues that he was dealing with at the time as well. So with that learning experience under his belt, going back to a place where he was obviously very good at in the past, no reason why he shouldn't win this time as well.
Okay. Now, Indianapolis. So, I mean, a few things here. Now, Bubba, obviously a very, he's a very sensitive dude. Okay. There's no question about that. Maybe that's why Ryan Blaney's friends with him. But for the most part, the majority of fans who really don't care or get involved with all the social media nonsense that's directed towards him. Okay. And that's the case. So therefore, we don't need to hear the kind of commentary he has. I mean, it just shows you that he's just, dude, it's just, somebody should just talk to him. It's like, why are you win a race? Just be thankful and be happy. And why? It's like the first thing he wants to do is get into like a contest again with these people who are just minority of people that don't care anyway. It's just these are just zero people. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we don't have we don't have an opinion on him like normal analysts do, but that it's not directed towards us. It's directed towards these people who just hound him and hound him and hound him. And for whatever reason, he just plays into it.
Yeah, there's a benefit to turning off the screen time at times. And I think a lot of people that are out there that are in the public eye would be better off if they actually just ignored it. And good for him. He drove a great race. It was a good strategy. We've talked about him at certain tracks being extremely good. We talked about Joe Gibbs Racing and 23XI and Toyota in particular, just being good at Indianapolis. So he lived up to expectations and he was able to get the job done. It's turn off the screen, get off the social media. I agree. Yeah. Just focus on the sport. You did a great thing. You had a great afternoon. Enjoy it, live it up, and then go on to the next one. You're in the playoffs. You're out of the playoff bubble battle now.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher and what they do. You're in. So you've got 4 weeks here to live it up and get ready for the playoffs. And let's go make Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin proud and really hone your craft and get ready for those last 10 races.
So it's looking right now. So, I mean, Bush has got a 42-point lead on Preece. Kyle is out of it at this point, it looks. So, yeah, I guess it's between Preece and Buescher. If that, I mean, I don't know. It just looks like I think we know who's in unless someone wins. If we get a couple of drivers that win here that are on the bubble, I know it's 4 races, but that's going to be really hard. 42 points in 4 races.
Yeah, I think you can get a surprise maybe at Watkins Glen. I doubt it. Maybe at Daytona. But
I mean, a win.
Exactly right. If you see the last 4 races here, if you're likely going to see Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, or Chris Buescher win one of those. If somebody new is going to win, Kyle Busch is down there. He's not been out front leading laps. Ty Gibbs, maybe he's getting a little bit closer, but again, he's also not out there in the front leading laps. So I'm talking about somebody like an AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, perhaps at either Watkins Glen or Daytona, but more likely Daytona. I think really we're going to be waiting to Daytona, and it's going to be Chris Buescher that's kind of sweating it out, waiting to see if he's able to make it through. But like you said, his points lead right now is actually pretty good. So regardless of somebody, outside of somebody winning, I should say, he should be feeling pretty comfortable regardless.
Yeah, I think that Keselowski has a real good chance this week.
Yep.
So I think he needs to take advantage of it if he can. This is a good opportunity for him, just like last week was. And it was kind of strange to see because, and I don't know, who knows what happens if we have another restart because Blaney and Keselowski sure all of a sudden got into the picture at the very end of the race. And we know how strong that they could have been, but they weren't there for most of the race. I don't know what happened to them, why it took them so long. But yeah, it's at a point now where it's either win or you're not in. And I understand that, and I'm okay with that. But it is kind of hard in a way to take because at this point, Ty Gibbs and even Brad Keselowski, if you look at all these drivers here that are on the outside, and maybe even Ryan Preece, those guys deserve to be. They're definitely, well, let's just put it this way. I mean, you got Josh Berry here. Even Austin Cindric has not had the season that I thought he would. I don't know. Again, Bubba got his win, so good for him. So yeah, I mean, it's almost like Berry and Cindric. If you replace them with Gibbs and Keselowski, I'd be okay with it. I mean, because those guys have just raced really well. It's unfortunate though because they put it together just too late, and that's what the problem was. Gibbs has done real good over the last couple of months. Keselowski's done really good over the last 6 weeks. But yeah, they've been racing since February, and it's actually been a while. They did not do well the first 3 months of the season.
Yeah, I think if you just look at the points totals, Josh Berry kind of down there toward the bottom at 414. Look at Shane Van Gisbergen. Yeah, 3 wins, but still his point total is only 392. And you talk about Preece. Ryan Preece is in the 500s, and that's where the line is drawn. Move him up one. That feels right to me. In terms of points versus those that should be competing in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think Shane Van Gisbergen, because there's not a road course in the first round, he might win a race in the playoffs, but I think he's going to be eliminated before he gets a chance even to get there, because the first 3 races are ovals. And only now, just last week, was he actually, running inside the top 15 roughly for a sizable portion of the day. He hasn't done that at all season to this point. So yeah, he's getting improvement, and not to knock Shane Van Gisbergen, because he's got the 3 wins and he's road course dominant, but he's just not great on the ovals, and you've got to be great on both in order to win this championship, and honestly, to be part of the playoff picture as well.
Okay, so Wallace wins at Indianapolis, and as far as the race was concerned, again, it was better than it was before NextGen. We get that, but it's just it's like Pocono. You can't pass these drivers, and the inside lane. It's like, I mean, you knew the race. It didn't matter. There was another caution. The only thing was, I guess, did he have gas? But when you're on the inside on the restart in Indianapolis, it's over. You got no shot. There's just no way. Matter of fact, it was kind of, I mean, Wallace actually, it got pretty close, the first one. And that just maybe shows you Bubba Wallace, but, he made up for it and just came off, and it just flew away from him on the second one. And that's all that mattered. And then he wins the race. So, yeah, it's not a perfect track, but it is better than it used to be, at least.
Definitely better than it used to be. I feel like that first one was close for maybe 2 corners, though, and then he shut it off again. So it goes to show that if you're on the outside, you just don't have the grip to be able to come off the corner to make a run down the long straightaway. So unless you've got brand new tires compared to somebody that's significantly older on the inside, you really don't stand a chance. It's a strategy and track position track, and that's exactly the strategy that won Wallace the race. He went a little bit longer on his second to last stop, got a lucky caution, so he consolidated that lead, and then he just held it all the way through. The only question was whether or not he was going to have enough fuel to make it to the end.
And then we see Larson now into 3s, which is just not good. Hamlin not good at 4. So those are not...
Surprised Hamlin is not equal with Larson. I guess they may as well be, but
yeah. But that's just too low. Yeah, I mean, Blaney's not bad. It's okay. Again, Byron's okay. He's just got to get the group. And I'm sure Byron will get going again. Elliott's still a good number. Still sitting there at plus 850 right next to the 9. And then it's up to you if you believe in any of these other drivers. What do you think about all these other long shots?
Beyond Elliott, I've been a doubter the entire season, but it seems like week after week after week he's stepping forward as Chase Briscoe. He's just getting better as the season goes on. He's going to still need to take it up another notch when we get to the playoffs, but I like the trend that Briscoe's been on the past few weeks.
Yeah, he's got a good number. Again, for a driver that now is around 10-1 every week, you're getting 20-1. And that's just right there. Shows you that he's not bad. And if he just keeps this up, of course, the rest of the season, it's one thing. Has to happen. And yeah, I mean, Bowman is probably the only one out here that I would go with. I mean, see, even Gibbs or Keselowski, if they get into the playoffs and they're hot and everything, that's still getting into the playoffs is one accomplishment, but winning a championship, I just don't see that at this point for Gibbs or even Keselowski. I know he's got championship material, but I don't think they've got a championship team. Look how hard it is for him to just win a race. So that's why their odds are what they are. But Bowman continues to get good odds. And again, it's almost a carbon copy of what he did last year. Started a little earlier with this little run he's on. If he could just keep this run going, maybe get a win, then I think he might be the second best choice as far as you're getting double the Briscoe at 35.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually he's tied with Buescher there. I think Bowman's, we talked about how secure we think Buescher is. I think Bowman's pretty much granted his entry there. So it'll be interesting to see how they go throughout. But like you said, with a team that's just fighting to win a race still this deep into the season, you got to remember that the playoffs are 10 races long. That's 2.5 months. So keeping up your streak of consistency and being at the front for 2.5 months, and you have like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3, if you're very lucky, depending on how many bonus points you have, maybe that many mulligans to take, you don't really have much room to slip or fall. And these teams, again, at this point in the season that haven't won yet, the chances of them lasting 2.5 months at the front of the field is a far-fetched idea.
Let's take a look at Iowa for the second time. And ready? I did a little research. This shows you.
Was there much research to do?
This just shows you. No, there wasn't. This just shows you how exciting this race was last year. Is that it had to be, I'm just going to guess, I think it's the truth, the most dominant win of Ryan Blaney's career. And I didn't even remember it. I had no idea. I was like, I don't remember that. He led 200 laps at Iowa last year. Why don't I remember that? It's not like he's got like 15 wins.
From the front row. Yep.
Yeah. So it was one of those races. I mean, Kyle Larson was probably had just as good as a shot as Ryan and had just as fast as a car as Ryan, but did something incredibly stupid when he decided to try and make a move to go in between two cars on the inside and the outside of him. And the car that was on the inside of him was Daniel Suarez, who surprisingly clipped Larson and wrecked him. And it was like, I mean, why would you do that? So, but again, this has been the problem with Kyle Larson. He can be hit and miss. He can make dumb decisions. And so that's really what did it for Larson. Otherwise, it was Ryan Blaney, and that's kind of boring race it was. Okay, so who do you think is the favorite?
Kyle Larson.
And who's second?
Hamlin.
Tied.
Oh, they're tied. I wouldn't have put them tied. I would have given Hamlin probably the 4 or 5, but I probably would have put Larson and would have guessed, not personally, I would have guessed that Larson would have been lower than 4 or 5 there.
And who do you think is third?
Well, it should be probably Blaney, but yeah, I'll go with Blaney. Yeah, Blaney third. No, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it is hard to believe Blaney's fourth here.
Yeah, no way.
So that's a good, hey, if you can get that right now, I think you should go for it. But okay, so as far as these drivers just here, again, I told you what happened with Larson. He was on the pole, led 80 laps, and he's starting to get his groove back, second and fourth in his last 2 races. So yeah, he should be the favorite. And I do like him over Hamlin and Bell. The only one that I'll say that will, and this might be a carbon copy of last year, and that is because doing the incredible hard work of research this week with only one racetrack in 1 year and no real similar tracks to go on, since Richmond is the closest, but that's in a couple of weeks, so we don't have enough Richmond this year. That what I found out just on last year's research is that you don't want to be driving a Toyota. So Toyota in practice started off on a Saturday in practice, and they only had one of the top 7 in practice. Then in qualifying, they didn't have any in the top 7. And then for the final result of the race, they had one driver in the top 14. And that was Christopher Bell, who finished 4th. That is not a good weekend for Toyota. Meanwhile, Ford and Chevy were pretty similar. Of course, Ford gets the nod because they won the race and Blaney dominated. They both were really good in practice and qualifying and in the race as far as results are concerned. So really, Again, it's only one race, but that's what we have to go on with the next gen car, is that if you're into this sort of thing, whether it's, and look, I just think you have to use it just like you would if it was 3 or 4, because that's what the data tells you. Now, what I wouldn't do is just, if you like a Toyota, then go ahead and do it. But unless there's a reason to go with a Toyota, I just think, especially for drivers with odds like this, that's where I would be like, after what happened last year, why would I go with Hamlin and Bell at 4 or 5 to 1? Why? I just can't do it. I'd rather wait to see what they do in qualifying and practice, because I tell you what, these odds probably won't drop that much. So, especially with Larson and Blaney around. So just if you're thinking about a Toyota, just wait until Saturday. And if you don't see anything different and Toyota struggles again, then just pass on them completely. What do you think?
It's really hard to give a preference to a manufacturer after just one race, especially with the new car and how it might work on, under different conditions and all that good kind of stuff. And yeah, Ryan Blaney dominated, and the Chevrolets were close. But what was remarkable to me is that just one Toyota finished even inside the top 15. So they were, when the race came around, they were just awful, and only one of them seemed to figure out how to make it work. So I agree with you. I'd wait. I think Hamlin, gets the free pass because of the streak that he's on, just having a great stretch of races. But Christopher Bell's been making mistakes. Christopher Bell's not been around, so no reason why he should be up there 1 point away from his teammate there. So, Hamlin's probably not going to change. He's not going to get worse or get better odds, I should say. Unless he goes out and wins pole, then he'll get worse odds. So yeah, I agree. I'd probably wait. I'd take somebody like a Ryan Blaney now, but I would definitely wait on the Toyotas unless for some reason you've got a really strong feeling for Denny Hamlin right here.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, as far as Bell is concerned, he's definitely not on his game right now. So if you want to stick with Hamlin, that's fine. But Hamlin didn't do anything in this race, just last year, one race. But he does have 6 top 5s in his last 8 races with 2 wins. So he's definitely doing better than Bell. But Bell did better than Hamlin in the race, finishing 4th and leading a few laps. And again, as far as Blaney was concerned, he was on the front row, started the race right alongside Larson. Larson led 80 laps until he wrecked. Blaney took it over and dominated with 201 laps led. And he is similarly to Larson in his last 2 races, he's got top 10s. Not like Larson, who has top 5s, but Blaney does have a couple of top 10s coming in here. And just to take a quick look, because as you were saying about different conditions and such, that give me an opportunity to peek at the weekend weather. And so far, so good. Matter of fact, there is no rain in the forecast at Iowa all weekend. I don't see any rain at all. So that's good. Sun, some partly cloudy. And actually, it's going to cool off this weekend in the country.
I was going to say, if it's anything like it is here, I'm looking forward to the weekend not being 90 degrees and ultra humid. Should be good for racing.
Yeah, 77 degrees, which is
Perfect.
Pretty much like it's going to be here. I think it's going to be like 75 degrees over the weekend here. It's crazy. It's beginning of August. If it was the beginning of September, I'd be getting excited. But it's the beginning of August, so it's a fake fall. But it is going to cool off a little bit this weekend, and it doesn't look like the rain is going to be in the forecast. Okay. Does Iowa have lights?
It does. I believe so. Yeah. I think I've seen night races there before.
I'm surprised they didn't go to lights. Why not try that?
Because we're talking about the NASCAR scheduling system.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. Okay. Next up. Okay, so the next 3, Byron, Logano, and Elliott. And Byron wound up finishing 2nd last year from the 4th position. But unfortunately, he's still in a rut. 24.6 average in his last 8 races. And then you have Logano, who was 6th, and his teammate dominated. So that means something. But unfortunately, you're now getting no value with Logano. I mean, Logano at 10 to 1 on anything other than a super speedway is not there's no value because Logano has not been very consistent this year. Matter of fact, even in his last 8 races, he's got an average of 20.1. So no value there. Elliott at 12-1 though is value. I don't know why Elliott is getting 3 points on Byron. Elliott continues to have a good run going. He was 3rd here last year. So he was right there with Byron, neck and neck, just hoping. And they were only a second, by the way, off of Blaney at the end. So it wasn't like Blaney, even though he led a lot of laps, it wasn't like he had a 4 or 5 second lead. For the last whatever number of laps, he only led Byron and Elliott by about, a second and a half for quite a while. But Elliott's going a lot better than Byron right now. And I think Elliott's still a clear value play. And so to me, I'd go Elliott, Byron, Logano.
Yeah, I agree. Elliott definitely would be the one to take. Number one, he's getting the best odds of the bunch. Plus, he's been the most consistent all season. He's not going to be affected, I think, by his 13th place finish at Indianapolis. I don't think that's necessarily a slump, especially considering he started 30th. So assuming this week he's able to qualify a little bit better, I think he's in store for a better race. And like you said, with William Byron, just continues to struggle. He's not had the results. He had one top 10 in the last 5. It's just not going his way. We would have thought he would have won a race by now. There was a time maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago now, where he was really hot and knocking on the door of a win, but never came through. And it seems like he's just still in that rut right now. So we'll see if he's able to turn it around in the next 4 races. But as far as this weekend goes, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott, then probably Byron, and then Logano. And Logano only because his luck is so bad. Another tire failure last week. From time to time, he has a speed, but this year has not been very lucky for him. Like last year was very lucky for him, especially through the playoffs.
It's not an even year.
No, that is correct.
Yeah, and the thing with Byron, I mean, this shows you we're getting no value with Byron at all. He is struggling for the 2 months now, and we're getting the same odds that we got with him during his hot streak. And he still hasn't won. He hasn't won since Daytona. So, I mean, it's just not the way to go. Of course, we know he can win. There's no doubt about that. But if he's going to beat you, let him beat you when he is struggling and you're not getting any value. Okay, so now we get a bunch of drivers that are getting a little bit better odds and bunched up here. Briscoe's actually not getting the odds that he's been getting the last several races, but we could see why, I guess, based on his result last year. Plus, he is driving a Toyota. And then you got Reddick, who's driving a Toyota, who also, just like Briscoe, had a top 10 start last year and then actually ended up. Matter of fact, I think Briscoe might have been the fastest Toyota in qualifying. And then you have Reddick, who actually, no. Briscoe was he driving a Chevy last year?
Briscoe was a Ford last year. So Martin Truex, he's driving Martin Truex Jr.'s car this year, and Truex qualified 31st for this race last year.
Yeah, so that's not good. Yeah. Reddick, I think, then was the fastest Toyota because he was 8th. But Reddick, remember, we just saying a couple of races ago, Reddick is getting his mojo going again. Well, now his mojo is disappearing again. So this has not been the best of months for Reddick. A couple of Toyotas there. Chastain, forget him. He's got in his last 7 races a 25.8 average. He finished 11th last year. Buescher would be the one definitely by default here in my mind because he's driving a Ford. And even though he finished 18th, he did lead 16 laps. So there's that. So yeah, I'm not taking any of these drivers, but if I was going to take one, I guess I'd go with Buescher.
Yeah, Buescher would definitely be my top choice of this bunch, and I probably wouldn't even look at the other 3, at least until practice and qualifying are done. Like you said about Reddick, he was on a pretty good streak, but 12th at Dover and then 29th at Indianapolis. Chase Briscoe had the back-to-back runner-up finishes at Sonoma and Dover. He started on pole again at Indianapolis, so all those things are trending in the right direction. But like you said, Toyota, So interesting to see, what they'd be able to do. Again, I'd want to see practice and qualifying, whereas Buscher, he's actually on a pretty good streak here. So, hovering around top 10, top 15 pretty much every single week right now. Were it not for the win from Wallace, he'd still be quite comfortable, even more comfortable in the playoff standings. So I agree. By default, Buscher, wouldn't take him over some of the names that we've already talked about, but I probably wouldn't look at the other three, at least until I see some positive signs out of practice and qualifying.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think of how the season has gone so far for RFK, or I shouldn't say the season, just even the last, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I could say the season, but especially even the last couple of months, you wouldn't think that there's a possibility that none of their drivers are going to the playoffs. You just wouldn't, because Priest has had a much better season than anybody thought. Kozlowski's been really hot the last couple of months. And yeah, Buscher's had a pretty decent season and probably deserves to be in the playoffs if it wasn't for other drivers who just go out and grab a win, steal a win from them. So yeah, I mean that could be a pretty big blow if they don't find a way to get to the playoffs with just one driver.
Yeah, Buscher has 11 top 10s so far this season, and that is more than both Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, guys that are already locked into the playoffs. Bubba Wallace, obviously, as well. Tops Ross Chastain. And in fact, when you look at Ryan Preece and compare him with somebody like Ross Chastain, who's got a win and is in the playoffs, Preece has got 9 top 10 finishes. So along with 2 top 5s. So yeah, it is pretty surprising that they're hovering around the bubble. There's still 4 races to go. A couple good tracks for Fords as well where they can compete. So we'll see what they're able to do.
Okay. This surprises me actually that Kyle's 25-1, because that for even me at this point, I think if Kyle wins, he's going to have to just be lucky. Maybe he wins at Daytona, or maybe he gets a good break somehow, but they're not leading laps. And there's just, even when he's in a nice run of top 10s, they're not in any way looking like they're going to win a race. So I don't know why he's 25-1. He shouldn't be there. He's better off just being way below that. He had a water pump issue, did not have a good finish last year with a top 10 start, and he's sort of headed in the wrong direction. Berry, meanwhile, he is decent, because he had a good run last year, started 3rd, finished 7th, led 32 laps. I don't think Josh Berry is going to win a second race, but he's definitely better than some of these other drivers we just talked about, because he does not have a top 10 in his last 10 races. So it's not like he's going on any sort of major run either. Gibbs and Hocevar, yet with Gibbs, Toyota problem, did not do anything in this race last year. And I don't think look, for Gibbs, a definite wait. Because even when Gibbs last week, he had 2 good runs on Saturday, and you were still getting 25-1 on Gibbs. So yeah, I don't think a good run on Saturday is going to matter much. So just wait on Gibbs. And Hocevar actually had a pretty good run here last year, finishing 14th. And Spire had a good run last week. Haley led laps. Matter of fact, Haley's actually, we'll get to him later on. He's actually been pretty decent the last few races. I know we've had some road course stuff, but and then Hocevar's coming up a 10th place finish last week. But I was looking at Hocevar's races, and so this is what I came up with, and that is that in his last 13 races, every 4 races, he records a top 10.
Yep.
So that means, wait, if he does not record a top 10 by Daytona, then that's the week to put the chips in on Carson Hocevar, because Daytona probably a good race for him anyway. And maybe that would be the week that Carson Hocevar, wouldn't that be fitting if he gets it done just before the playoffs as well? So yeah, anyway, with this group here, I guess I'd look at Hocevar and Berry, but probably not taking either of them right now.
Yeah, and with Hocevar, the 3 races in between each top 10, at least 2 of them are worse than 20th, and usually 2 of them are worse than 30th. So very up and down for him. I think the interesting thing about Kyle Busch that you noted again is he's had recent top 10s, been around the top 10. He finished 25th last week. He hasn't led a single lap since the All-Star race. Not a single lap. And he hasn't led double-digit laps this season since Atlanta. So it's been a long, dry season for Kyle Busch. Yeah, definitely looking at Josh Berry just based on what he was able to do at Iowa last year. And Hocevar would clearly be my second choice, but given that you pointed out the 4-race top 10 thing, he finished 10th last week. I'm not taking him this week.
Okay. Next up. Okay. So in this group, the one that clearly sticks out is Keselowski.
Yes.
So I definitely would take Keselowski. He was 10th here last year from the 5th position, led a few laps, and is now on a run of 7 top 12s in his last 10 races with 3 top 5s and a runner-up. And he is trending the right way. He's been better in all of his last 4 races, including 5th just on Sunday. And you're getting a big number here at 35-1 with a desperate driver trying to get a W. So absolutely, I would take Brad Keselowski here. And I really wouldn't worry too much about anybody else. So, yeah, I mean, Cindric's already got a win. I know he's teammates with Blaney. But, yeah, nothing sticks out here. And Bubba, I guess he'll win again in about 100 races. So
yeah, it'd be shocking for him to do it back to back, especially in a Toyota, a place that they struggled last year. Cindric, similar to Logano, fast car at Indianapolis, but tire issues, exact same thing for both cars. So again, somebody who might be able to have speed, but again, getting to the end of the race without having issues or incidents seems to be a problem for them. So Keselowski, without a doubt, he ran inside the top 10 all race last year. He finished in the top 10 in both stages and finished 10th in the race. So no reason not to go with Keselowski this far down the order.
Okay. What is Bowman doing at 55-1? I can't believe that. He was 8th last year from the 33rd position. So something happened to him in qualifying, and yet he still finished 8th. He's got an 8.1 average in his last 7 races. So clearly one of the top long shots to go for. And as far as the rest of them, I guess the only other one that would stick out would be Priest, who did nothing in this race last year, but that's a different team. So since he's driving a Ford, and as you said, he's got those top 10s, and he just had a 4th last week. Yeah, I'd take a chance that maybe he has a good Saturday, and maybe those odds go to 20-1, and I get a bargain at 65-1. So I'd pump. Look, clearly Bowman and Keselowski as far as the deep long shots, but I think Priest is worth it, worth something.
I agree. Priest is worth something just based on the fact that he's with RFK Racing this year. And just, we talked a couple of times already about how good his season has been. I would not be surprised if Alex Bowman wins this race. His teammates finished 2nd and 3rd last year. As you said, he qualified horribly. I wonder if those odds are a mistake. I would run out and book them right now if you can before they figure it out and correct them.
Well, every sports book is different. And the sports book that I looked at yesterday had Bowman at 35, but it was still, even 35 to me is large, which is why I quickly grabbed it. So I don't know whether or not maybe it's gone up or not, but yeah, you're still getting a good number no matter what sports book you go to. Okay. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, maybe you're wondering why Suarez was 45-1. He did finish 9th last year from the 13th positions, but I don't think that's really going to matter much. All right. And now with the deep long shots, again, Shane is only getting 120 because he's the road course king. Then as far as all of these other drivers, which one sticks out? Again, I told you that Haley is interesting just because of, he's had a nice run lately. And he did finish 13th last year from the 19th position. But any of those long shots stick out for you?
Second week in a row, I will point out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He was fifth in this race last year, despite starting 35th, and I think he's at the 200 mark.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, he's won typically at the super speedways. He'd be the one to call out his deep long shot. But again, a fifth place run here last year, coming from the 35th starting spot, and he led 4 laps. So very good afternoon for him.
Okay, so you've got the first pick. All right, so what you gonna do?
I'm gonna go with Ryan Blaney there.
Oh, okay. Taking my boy at, what is he getting? Fourth odds. Not bad. Fourth on the list. Okay. I will. You know what? I know I don't do it too often, but I'll do it. I'm going to take Kyle Larson.
I think that's a good choice. Yeah, I don't see much below Elliott, so I'll just go ahead and take Elliott.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been my choice. And that was the one I was thinking about if I didn't take Larson. And I usually don't go with the short drivers, but yep. And I think Elliott's a good play. Yeah, this is easy for me. I'm taking Keselowski.
And I will go 2 for 2 on Hendricks and grab Bowman way down.
Yeah, another easy one. And I'll take Priest. So there you go. So none of us took a Toyota. Not a big surprise.
No surprise.
All
Too
right.
early to take a Toyota. We have to see practice and qualifying before we change our minds. And even then, they have to be very convincing.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the air. I believe Iowa's, are they Eastern time?
I think they're Central.
Oh, okay. Then that means I'll be on the air probably around 4 o'clock. Well, it'll be a recording, but that means I'll probably do the recording at 3:30 on Saturday after qualifying and practice. So again, there's not going to be a whole lot to go on, especially unless Toyota all of a sudden steals the show on Saturday. Then I'll have a much longer outlook on it. But so that'll be on Saturday. Again, Kevin will have his report posted sometime on Friday or Saturday as well. And CJ, you're going to have your RotoWire DFS report. That should also be available. The link in the description of either of those videos should come out just when you have that ready over at rotowire.com.
Exactly right. And then we'll have on Monday too, the power rankings following Iowa as well at rotowire.com, but we'll have the preview for the race with my picks a little bit closer, but not before practice or not after practice and qualifying. So they'll still be early. So don't expect me to favor Toyota in that. But at least you'll get some different wagers. Maybe the odds change by then, but rotowire.com, and we'll put the link in the description of this video.
Okay, so there you go. Again, we'll talk more about it. I'll talk more about it coming up on Saturday. That's going to do it for our NASCAR talk. We'll be back again on Tuesday of next week when we preview Watkins Glen. And so you know what that's going to be all about. So that's next week right here on Proline TV. As far as our F1 coverage, though, it's now time to change the scenery. It's time for you to drop the hat. And we talk about
one with the NASCAR hat on.
Yep. Nobody has mailed us your F1 hat.
I'm so shocked at that. I just can't believe it.
So they don't even have an address. So okay.
In fact, me a picture of one.
Yeah. Okay. Don't tempt me. So here we go. Last week and this week. So we had a race last week and a race this week. And the big story for F1 last week was the rain and how incredibly boring the race was. It's like if you do it like I do, because I don't have time to watch F1 races, So I'm always looking for something. Like, so I'll fast forward like every 10 minutes just to see did something happen, if it does, and I'll watch. And every 10 minutes, I kept fast forward. It's the same 4 drivers in the same 4 positions all the way through the race. So I know that's not why there was controversy, because they don't care about that stuff. But the controversy was the rain. Do you think the rain had to do with that as well, as just not enough give and take or anything? Or what was the main controversy about with the rain? Just that it wasn't safe?
No, I feel like we got robbed of the race, to be honest with you. What could have been an exciting race. It's known to rain. It almost always rains on the weekend at Belgium, and this weekend was absolutely no different. And as they were getting set up on the grid before they rolled off, the rain came through and just started torrential downpour. So they did their formation lap. But before they even completed the formation lap, they called off the start and said, we're going to delay it. We've got standing water. Visibility is too bad, etc., which I agree with. From a state safety standpoint and all that good stuff, a lot of rain was coming down and it was terrible. They delayed it for an hour, if not more, waiting for the rain to clear and trying to get the standing water off the track, which they did. They restarted and they started behind the safety car. The controversy is that the safety car stayed out at least 2 or 3 laps too long. The water was clear. There wasn't a huge amount of spray coming up from the backs of the cars. A lot of the drivers, maybe not all of them, but a lot of the drivers were saying it's good to race. 2 or 3 laps later, in a place like Spa, where you only get 44 total laps, that's 10% of the race just taken away. And by the way, it takes it away in the most exciting and unpredictable conditions. So we could have had passes, we could have had a jumbling of the order, etc. But the FIA basically waited until the track was effectively dry before they started racing. And then after that, you'd think that, okay, the track is still damp, it's drying, maybe you get something out of that. But because so much time was wasted and because the tires are so good right now, they only had 1 stop. So they went off of the wet tires and onto the dry tires. And the first people to go onto the dry tires capitalized on their track position. They held it until the end. And by the way, they didn't have to change tires all the way until the end. So it became the processional Formula One race that we always talk about. It was just the quintessential missing of an opportunity. I think the stewards just flat out waited too long to let the guys go racing.
Okay. So, yeah, because that is also a little weird anyway. And why don't they start the race like normal? Why do they start with a safety car?
In the rain, it's for safety. So
the way they want to see the cars out there. Well, because I did notice that they were like, I noticed initially they were just like driving like, say, the NASCAR drivers do before you start. Then I noticed they started going faster, but the race hadn't started yet.
Right.
So is that like where they're supposed to give them that? They're supposed to give them like a lap or 2 in those conditions, or how is that supposed to? How is it supposed to? What kind of speed are they supposed to be dealing with in the beginning of a race with a safety car?
In the beginning race of a safety car, the safety car speed doesn't necessarily change, but when the safety car is going to pull in and the race is going to start, it's up to the leader to then dictate the start from there. So they typically back way up and let the safety car go away. Okay. Unlike NASCAR, where you have a specified zone where you restart in, Formula One doesn't have that. So the leader will back everybody.
Up to the leader.
Up to the leader to be able to back up people as far as they can and then choose the spot at which they decide to then go on the gas.
And he doesn't tell anybody.
Doesn't tell anybody. So that's why you have to play a quarter of a lap. It wasn't that much, but it felt like a quarter of the lap where they were definitely effectively racing, but the green flag doesn't technically come out until the leader crosses the flag. He was just crosses the finish line with the green flag. He was just Piastri, or Norris at the time, was actually just trying to gain an advantage over those behind him at that point. So
okay. All right. So I guess one of the other things that came out of the race was the fact that Piastri now has gone 41 races without not finishing a race. So he's now getting close to the record. Verstappen has 43. and Hamilton has 48. So what do you think about that?
That's a symptom of Formula One. I like to see. I like the old days where you didn't know until the last lap whether a car was actually going to hang together and actually make it all the way. And now you've got multiple seasons without a single failure for these three drivers. That's just incredible. It speaks volumes about how detuned and within the margins the mechanical engineering of these cars is. If anybody retires, generally speaking, it's a 50-cent part, something small, or it's a crash, something they mess up. So that type of consistency, I think, is great for those drivers. It doesn't make for the most exciting races, though. I remember leaders running out of fuel. I remember engines blowing up laps from the end. I like the unpredictability. It's become too predictable these days.
So where do you think Piastri is as far as the favorite right now?
So he is 16 points ahead of Norris right now. So if they're not equal, they're only going to be separated by a maximum of one. So I would say Piastri probably 350, maybe Norris at 4.
Minus or plus?
Plus.
Wow.
This is for the championship already. Negative odds. Wow. Okay. And Lando positive. That is interesting.
I think this has a lot to do with the fact that Max is out of it now.
Yeah.
So all of his money, all of his points get shoved into these guys.
Going to be one of the two. I think we know that at that point. So the question is just which one. And again, I think that's still too big of a spread between the two. I mean, you're only talking 16 points and you're almost a 3-point difference, maybe even close to a 4-point difference there between the two. That's a little bit too much for me. So I wouldn't be too afraid of going with Norris still at the positives. But Piastri, it does look like it's his title, but we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, and if you want Piastri, it's probably just a good idea at this point because you haven't taken him yet. When you had him at the plus all year and at 3-1 all year, then you might as well just wait and hope that maybe Norris wins a race or two and it gets back even, and then maybe you can get Piastri close to even. Because right now you're getting no value. Okay, so tell me about Hungary and what best bets you have in store for us this week. Best options.
Hungary is a really cool track. It's been around for quite a long time. It was the first Formula One race held behind the Iron Curtain. The track is effectively unchanged since then. They've made a couple of improvements, changed turn one a little bit. There are 2 DRS zones, but it is tight and twisty, and it's usually pretty hot and humid there. Last year, so again, we talked about Mercedes being better in the cool weather. They had some trouble at Spa when it was a little bit cooler and wet, but this week it's going to be likely warmer, so don't look at Russell or Antonelli here this week. You're going to want to definitely be looking at the McLaren duo. Piastri is the one that won last year. They both started on the front row. Piastri led 45 laps. Norris led 18. Norris was the one that was on pole, but Piastri's strategy on tires got the better of him. So again, those two roughly equal right there. Max Verstappen, car tends to like more of the medium speed corners, but Ferrari may be able to get in on the podium again. Their upgrades seem to be working, at least for Leclerc, maybe not so much for Hamilton. So I think Piastri is your favorite top pick for the win. And then if you want to look at somebody with an outside shot, maybe, you know what, I'll go ahead and say Max Verstappen for the outside shot at Hungary, to be honest.
That's 6-1?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. And what about winning car? Is this at minus 4-1? Is that actually a good option or not this week?
Yeah, last week it was negative 320, I think, and I said, yeah, I would definitely go for it. I'd probably go for it again at -4 because you got both drivers, and still it's very hard to choose between them. I do think Piastri is going to be the favorite. But last year they both led sizable or a good amount of laps, and they both started on the front row. So kind of tough to choose between the two. So I would go ahead. It's -4 is right on the cusp of where I might start trying to say choose one of the two drivers, though. But
All right.
here you're flipping a coin. But I'd say go ahead and still with the -4 this week.
And so forget about any of the deep long shots. If you're going to take one, just go with Max.
Yep, I think Max would be my long shot this week at 6.
Okay. And what's coming up for F1?
A 3-week break.
Oh,
yeah, we hit.
No wonder why they don't end until December.
Yep, exactly right. So we'll get the summer break after this. Hungary is the last one before we end up taking the summer break. They actually have to shut down the factories. Not allowed.
The summer break.
Not allowed to do anything, but we'll come back at the end of August for Holland in the Netherlands. Max.
Okay. So 3 weeks before our next F1 discussion. In the meantime, it's just like we were talking about with NASCAR. Your F1 report, your DFS report for F1 will be out on Friday.
That is correct. Rotowire.com, and we'll have the link for you here as well.
And then we'll post this each week, just in case if you're someone who's interested. We will edit this segment only and repost it later in the week, usually right around Friday or Saturday when we get the link from CJ for his RotoWire report. So that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, let us know. Subscribers, definitely. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. That's the best way. One of the best ways that you can sponsor the channel. You can give back to the channel, support us, all that good nonsense. Anyway, CJ, appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.